don't waste our country.
Making announces, policy passing through Parliament pounds. He got stuck on Muckaty syndrome and like into cat versus mouse. Corruption gone public, the media lumped it. Said secrets by the government are being kept. Consultation being met after it's
let's begin our story now. I've come all the way up to share my message about the waste dump. Like all my elders have been talking very hard before, telling the government that they didn't want the waste dump to come to the land. One thing, these people didn't listen to us. We've asked them to come here and talk to us in Tennant Creek. We want to talk to you people. We want to tell you how we feel about our land. Our land is our spirit. Our land that keeps us strong.
The most important thing for someone to be healthy, be it an individual or a population at large, is that they have control over their existences, that they have the opportunity to make choices. This is a clear, well-documented medical fact. And so if Martin Ferguson is going to impose, against the will of these people, a waste dump on their country, he is flying in the face of all the medical evidence, and in my opinion, it's a criminal act.
This dump has been offered to people in exchange for a $12 million package. And that $12 million is coming in the form of roads, houses and education scholarships for future generations. It's absolutely shameful, I think, that in 21st century Australia, people in remote areas are considering a nuclear waste dump in exchange for a house, in exchange for a school, and in exchange for things that we consider to be basic citizenship entitlements in the cities.
Stayed too far from there. We've only got 40 k's from where they're going to put the dump site. There's other communities around. We had people living in one community, and you got the dump site just there. And they were living there when there was no dump site promise for that land. So, where are they now? They're all back in town.
There is no such thing as a safe dose of ionising radiation to any of us. All living beings are threatened by even low doses of ionising radiation. It can get into us through our food, it can get into us through our drink. Similarly, if there's an event which causes a dispersal of radioactive waste, as a cloud of dust, for example, it gets into the air which we breathe, it can get into the plants and the crops, and of course into the animals that eat the crops. And one of people's favourite staple foods was rumia or goanna, and the goanna, of course, eat other things in the environment. And if those animals have been eating contaminated plant fodder, for example, the radioactive isotopes in the waste will be incorporated into the food and will be incorporated into the human body.
The ex-minister, Julie Bishop, said all of the sites that were chosen are far from civilisation. Far from civilisation. Well, I don't think it's very civilised to be dumping a radioactive waste facility on an unwilling community without their consent.
I recently had a meeting with Martin Ferguson and put pressure on him to ask why he actually wouldn't go, he is not going to Tennant Creek to speak directly with the traditional owners and the people that are going to get affected by this proposed dump site. He actually just refuses to go there. It is extremely unfair with the new legislation that was put through with the National Radioactive Waste Management Bill. There's been two recent Senate hearings, one in Canberra on the 30th of March and another one in Darwin on the 12th of April. They refused to actually have a hearing at Tennant Creek where the people could come out and actually speak out about how they're going to be affected like this. It's isolating the issue and it's extremely serious.
And just so you know, the Northern Territory government is actually very supportive of this campaign. The Chief Minister and the local minister, the member for Barclay, personally presented to the Senate inquiry to say that the Northern Territory government is supporting the Muckaty people to not have this waste dump and that they're sick of being stepped on by Canberra, as are the traditional owners.
We don't want it to come to Northern Territory. Nobody wants it there. Nobody's going to have a smiling face to receive that stuff come to our land. No way. Not in our hearts. We want to stand up strong and say that.
I've been campaigning in this seat for 10 years now, and I can tell you that I am yet to meet a voter in this seat who supports uranium mining. So I can tell you that there is no way that Martin Ferguson represents the views of the people in this election.
almost all of the waste, and the really significant waste that's going to go into any repository like the one proposing at Muckaty, that waste has come from nuclear fuel rods from the reactor at Lucas Heights, or it's stuff that is left over from the Maralinga bombings in the South Australian desert, and it's stuff from CSIRO. Almost none of it is generated by nuclear medicine. You will hear politicians around the nation telling you that if you want to have a good nuclear medicine capability in Australia, you have to have a reactor at Lucas Heights. That is a lie. It is simply not true.
What is this government trying to do to us? Do they want us to move out of the land so they can do what they want to do in the land? We're not moving for no one. No one's telling us to go. The land that our grandmothers fought for it, we live there, we want to stay there for a lifetime. Even though whatever people say you have to move into town, that's too dangerous for you. Why did they put it there before?
The Right Government has signed on to the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, which says states shall take effective measures to ensure that no waste dumping or storage of hazardous materials shall take place without free, prior and informed consent.
What Ferguson is doing is fundamentally wrong, and if he is going to be irresponsible in someone else's backyard, then let's step up to it and hold him responsible in his.
And we're going to tell him what we're talking about. We want to tell him that we don't want nothing to come to our land. So he better start listening, and we want you people to support us. Thank you.
Say goodbye to any chance of uniting beyond all this fighting. And if this dump goes ahead, you can say goodbye to any chance of uniting beyond all this fighting.
Always our country.